I want to be respectful here just because I think these types of videos may get me in trouble somewhere down the line. I'm talking bad about people who could mortally end me, so I still want to talk about fighters that I want to see get knocked out. And it could be because they robbed their last win, or they lost a decision in a fight that was horrible, or because they won a decision in a fight that was horrible. So we're going to talk about it. The first fighter that I want to talk about, it should come as no surprise, Mario Bautista. Like, no surprises here, you guys. Dude is like public enemy #1 at this point. Whenever he beat Jose Aldo, I wanted to hire a group of YNs to up switches and ARPs on him and Swiss cheese his shit, bro. Like, he was behaving so callously afterwards too, like he didn't just beat a legend of the sport in one of the worst performances that anyone has ever seen. He was instead only focused on the first part of what I just said, that he had just beat a legend of the sport. Learning how to fight in a way that like produces a boring outcome every single time, and then blaming your opponent for not being able to shut down your boring fight style is a surefire way to lose fans. It's not like incorrect. You're not really wrong for saying something like this either. I mean, but Bo Nickel, he bought himself some more time of being in the good graces of the MMA community by chastising himself after UFC 300 whenever he still, again, got a finish, you know, or won the fight. Mario Bautista doesn't even finish fights, dude. But Bo Nickel finished Cody Brundage after it was a pretty underwhelming performance. He gets on the mic and he's like, "I'm sorry, I will do better next time." And everyone is like, "Okay, we love you, Bo Nickel." But Bautista could have literally not maybe apologized, but he could have been like, you know, it wasn't the best performance. Conceded the fact that the fight was boring and that he won, but it was a boring fight. Maybe even offer a rematch. I mean, but it's not my career, you know, so it's easy for me to say these things. I mean, these are all just people trying to get money. I feel like such a hater right now making this type of video, dude. But yeah, I wouldn't be mad if he got chinned. I feel like a lot of us wouldn't. I'm not like rooting for it. I feel like me wanting this to happen is kind of bad for my soul. But we're just going to talk about other fighters. I guess fighters I'd be indifferent if they got knocked out. Not like that I want to see it happen. So yeah, Brendan Allen is going to be the next guy I'm going to talk about. After that Imavov fight, I kind of need someone to finish the job here because it felt like he was just sandbagging us the entire last time that he was in the cage. He possessed every tool that he needed to win that fight against Nasruddin, but he just didn't go. And when he was wrestling, he wasn't focused on control. He wasn't focused on damage. He wasn't focused on submissions or anything, pretty much. And Imavov just kept getting up and he was taking him down, but he just couldn't do anything with the takedowns. And it was so annoying to watch. So in the striking, Allen didn't even look that bad at the start, at least, and they just exhausted and just started shooting into the freaking canvas like an idiot, and he was getting beat up, and like he robbed Curtis too, so he had this opportunity as a way to win decisively, and people would be like, okay, Curtis win, we'll overlook it, but he folded up here, and that was the entire story of this fight, him just folding. So he's going to fight Anthony Hernandez on February 22nd, and I'm previewing that card prediction by stating that I'm very convinced Brendan Allen probably does get chinned here. So I'm going to let sleeping dogs lie until then, until he does. So we're going to talk about the next guy. His name is Rinat Fakhretdinov, and I just want to say that this guy should be arrested for how many decisions he's stolen up until this point. It's actually unreal what he's allowed to get away with. It was this blown up Brazilian juicehead named Carlos Leal. He challenged Rinat in Abu Dhabi. It was the last Abu Dhabi card. And he was horribly robbed in this fight. We literally all watched with our own two eyes Rinat Fakhretdinov lose all 3 rounds of that fight, and the unofficial strike count was like shown at the end of the fight, and Carlos Leal had almost doubled him up and he still won. There wasn't even a significant amount of control out of Rinat too. He was gifted that decision. And I can't even explain how crazy this was to watch live, dude. He celebrates having one of the longest unbeaten records in the division as well, because of another robbery that he was granted to achieve a victory over Nicholas Dalby. And this fight was Mickey Mouse, dude. We've watched him get 2 cheeky W's in the UFC in his last 2 fights. I haven't seen anything like this before. I don't like whenever fighters like win robberies as a recurring theme. I used to be a fan of Gamrot, but that style is so bad and they just end up getting exposed. So you can't put stake in a fighter who just likes to rob wins off of people, because that just means that they're like not very good. I feel like a lot of fans feel this way too. So if you're just robbing wins out here as a regular thing, we're gonna eventually just want to see you get sleepy, dude. So that's really the way that I feel about Rinat. He hurt Kevin Lee, bro. Like, justice for Kevin Lee, bro. Somebody's got to get him up out of there. So we'll see what happens. But the next fight that I'm gonna talk about, again, maybe an unpopular opinion, Kevin Holland. I'm gonna say it, man. I don't like Kevin Holland. And the amount of times he's made me regret believing in him since 2020 is actually pretty crazy. He's only a good fighter whenever he knows that his opponent is worse than he is. Like, he'll show up and do a good job whenever he's fighting, what is that guy's name? Cowboy Oliveira, or the dude who, Mikhail Oleksiejczuk. He'll show up and he'll look like the greatest fighter in the world. He'll train and he'll try hard and he'll be present whenever it's a guy like that. But against like high level grapplers or strikers that he knows are better than himself, he'll like adopt this weird disposition where it's like he doesn't really care about moving forward in his career. And I think he gets like this whenever he understands he probably won't win the fight. So he'll just posture and joke in like the actual cage against the guy who's outclassing him as a way to show that he's interested in mercy most of the time. And people will get into this sparring match with him. And I'd like to see someone have no regard for like his antics and just sit him, honestly, because it's just getting annoying at this point. I don't know if it could be Reinier de Ridder. I don't think so. I think that this is just going to be a grappling fight. The stand-up, Kevin Holland definitely has a stark advantage over Reinier de Ridder, and so. But I think, anyways, Kevin Holland is due for a slumber after all the beating around the bush that he has been doing. I mean, what type of fighter tells the media openly that he's not trying to become champion and he's never had the belt? That's just weird, and it's insane cope, and he's only really still relevant from work that he's done 5 years ago, almost 5 years ago now. So he's very slick and powerful though, so someone like Char Bullet would be needed to produce this sleepy KO. I could be talking all this crap and then he just wins his fight against Reinier de Ridder at UFC 311. Be kind of cool. So that's going to take us on to the next pick for this list. It's going to be Merab Dvalishvili, and this is going to be for what he's done to Jan, Jose, and O'Malley. I kind of want to see him sleep for this. Henry, he can kind of have that one because I'm pretty indifferent towards him and the outcome of that fight, but this is a tremendously boring fight style. He's just a Mario Bautista. He's the Mario Bautista OG, bro, and we all hate that he keeps winning this way. I mean, a lot of us do it, at least. He makes like the internet memes and stuff and like the skits, and people think that he's funny, so they're not mad whenever he wins. But he can't keep getting away with this, bro. And the craziest part is that he may be immune to getting knocked out because of his fight style. Umar probably only wins a decision against this guy. I feel like the best shot that we would have ever had of watching Merab get knocked out in a fight in bantamweight would have been against an uninjured TJ Dillashaw, in the bizarro reality where he never hurt his shoulder or anything like that and he kept fighting. An uninjured TJ Dillashaw, like the guy who fought Corey Sanhagen, he could probably knock out Merab, dude, and that makes me like super salty to think about it because I underappreciated him whenever he was there, and I would much rather him be champ at this point than that boy. He could have ended his career in like 2022. Sucks, man. So the next guy that we're going to talk about is Yair Rodriguez. This guy needs to be knocked out for the fact that he's on a 2-loss streak and he's ranked number 4, and he has been for the fact that he's beaten Josh Emmett, and that makes 0 sense. I know the UFC doesn't make these rankings, but whoever is like duh and like voting for Yair at number 4 every week, they need a swift karate chop to the back of the neck, dude, because that's not okay. It's completely unacceptable. That Josh Emmett win, it was a nice performance, but his last 2 losses were really bad. And the Ortega one was a little bit worse than the Volk one, but both were pretty humiliating, and they were a couple of subs. And I'd like to see him go to sleep, and I think that Gene Silva could be Mr. Sandman here, so I'd like to see that matchup happen eventually. Somebody just pull him down from the rankings, because he's ranked way too high. They gas him up so much for no reason. So, the next guy that we're going to talk about is going to be Gamrot. This guy has let me down so bad over the course of his career. When I supported him, I'd cheer for him to rob wins off of fighters. I'd actually want him to rob wins off of people. And he'd fail at doing this on some occasions, and often he would actually be successful because his fighting style sucks, dude. And I just feel bad for the fact that I wanted him to win and he lost whenever he would lose. I had to sit down and watch this guy who I called my favorite fighter get worked by Beneil Dariush in their fight, dude. And that's crazy. Against Dan Hooker, too, he pissed me off. It's like he couldn't do anything right in that fight. And the only really meaningful strike that he landed against Dan Hooker was this goofy, like, double-fisted, like, Origins Thunder gloves. Like, Black Ops 2 Origins Thunder Fist, like, double punch. By some miracle of God, dropped Dan Hooker. But then Dan Hooker just gets back up, and then he drops Gamrot twice and steals the round. And then he won the fight by completely shutting out this fraud. So... And now I want to see him get knocked out for the development of a new fighter that I can glaze in his place. So this is the perfect time for them to book the Fiziev rematch, I think, because I think that Rafael can win that fight. And if he performs well, he can knock this guy out too. So this is going to take us on to the next pick. And this is going to be the last one. The hard 180, you guys. I want to see Deiveson Figuerido get knocked out. And that's because I wanted this guy to knock out everyone in the bantamweight division. And I thought that he could. I wanted to see him get to the belt. I wanted to see him knock out Peter Yan. That's what I predicted. But now that I'm pretty confident it will never go down, he will not be champion of this division, I'd like to see him get beat up. And he's had close fights on the feet with, you know, Cody Garbrandt, which I coped before and was like, no. But yeah, Cody Garbrandt was touching him before he got wrestled and choked. And he lost his last fight to Peter Yan and got schooled. So I think that scheduling against him against O'Malley at this point is actually a good fight, in my opinion. O'Malley will be coming back. I know that Peter Yan wants the rematch, but I think that Figueiredo at this point is a tune-up fight for O'Malley, and I think that he can finish this fight and possibly do it very easily. So that's going to be the list, you guys. Please like, comment, and subscribe. I will catch you fellas in the next one. Stay safe out here and take care.